Hello, friends. So, as we're building up toward this new moon that is occurring about 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, my time, that'd be like sometime around 4 a.m., we need to maybe take a look at this conjunction. First, I'm going to do it in the Vedic and Sidereal. The sun, the moon, and Jupiter are all in the same degree of Ardra. Ardra Nakshatra is the lunar mansion symbolized by the teardrop. This is the howler, Rudra, the fierce form of Shiva, of destroyer, destroying, destruction. And it is in the sign of Gemini. Now, in the Vedic tradition, this is the masculine and feminine in flagrante delicto. This is conjugal, sexual, and for that reason, I feel like it's safe to say patriarchal. There's a backlash that has come from the women's revolution. And it is recidivist and retro and anti-evolutionary. Now, this ferocious form of Shiva is pointing toward the constructive potential of this stellium. Unjust causes here meet opposition from our hearts, our minds, and our wisdom, sun, moon, and Jupiter, right? We're being reborn in the storm, is essentially how I feel this coming through. Pain is becoming power, and that's why everything seems so very odd right now. This ardent sense of justice and ethical conscience, this feeling of let it happen, let it burn. I don't know if you're connecting with that, if that's only me, but it's ethereal right now. It's windy, it's ungrounding, and it's very, very fiery. Remediation can begin after something recidivist has been undone, right? We have to undo this to rebuild it. This is purification. This is sun and moon and Jupiter taking us through sadhana, sankalpa, surrender, and sharad to the pitris. Like, there is a reckoning here that has been going on with our past. It's blessed by the guru, though. And the notes that I have taken about this new moon period, quite by coincidence, are upside down in my journal. And then upside down in the upside downness, I wrote, "We bombed Iran." In Ardra, in this happening, this intercourse, the tear that falls opens the heart, and the storm, the mechanics of it clear the air. and the breakdown becomes a breakthrough, right? It's an internal reset of unresolved grief that we see depicted in Ardra Nakshatra and in this image of Shiva howling his pain. You know, spiritual rebellion needs to be grounded in wisdom in order for us to grow stronger and wiser and more authentic. We have to have these periodic breakdowns. And it was written into the Constitution of the United States that these kind of rebirth moments would be happening. But in our complacency, we forgot to tear everything down every 20 years and rebuild it. So now here we are, 200 years later, having to do all that work at once. And it really feels that way. These cycles, especially the Jupiter cycle and Jupiter's sun in their cycle, that's a yearly thing. That's annual. And it's about this sense that truth becomes very clear at times like these. I was just experiencing, like, I don't know if the outside world is hitting like this for you, but for me right now, the outside world is very confused. It's very discombobulated. I can't figure out exactly what it is that I'm doing from day to day, and nothing is seeming to cohere. Certainly not a linear thing, but it's been a long time coming. And we've got this George W. Trump character kind of playing it all out where, you know, we're going to be moving through this core worry, which for as long as I've been alive has been nuclear annihilation until July 20th. You know, there's a lot of hype and spin right now, and that has a lot to do with Mercury's placement, and it has a lot to do with that it being ready to go retrograde. But, you know, there really is a sense of the truth being obscured, being lost, and burnt up. And that is because Jupiter and the Sun are going to be traveling together like this for some time. I'm going to go ahead and give it that orb until July 20th. So we also just had the solstice. The sun stands still. That's literally what solstice means. And I think personally that this solstice is our collective moment of clarity, where we are together for the first time thinking about the question, where does evil come from? Jung wrote it in that book I'm always harping about, The Answer to Job. Whence evil? And I think we can all see unequivocally that the answer is evil comes from trauma. And whatever else this moment of initiation is giving to us, we can finally and once and for all see that evil comes from trauma together. And if we want to, if we choose to, if we have the will to, South Node and Mars in Leo, if we have the will to, we can commit to eliminating trauma and suffering together. The other major player in this new moon that is building and will be building until tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning, or roughly thereabout, I think it's 4:42 in the morning, is Uranus. Now, we have I'm sorry, I'm losing myself in another set of notes that I don't want to look at right now. We have Uranus moving into a new sign. So into, I believe it's Gemini as well. I thought I had that written down. Sorry, this is not my most professional moment. You all know that I'm moving though, so I'm hoping that you will have mercy. Yeah, Gemini sun in the tropical opposite the moon in Sagittarius with all the outer planets just having made their moves. So we have uh, Mercury in Cancer sextile Venus in Taurus, conjunct Jupiter, and also burned up by the rays of the sun, or will be soon, and Jupiter square Saturn, which is expansion and contraction together, right? So we're finding that justice, law, and fairness are being upheaved in these outer planet movements. And by Uranus moving into Gemini in the tropical, this is so interesting because my notes are upside down on one thing, and it's portraying this confusion that is palpable right now. But what I want to say about the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer in the tropical chart is that care is nurtured by this tension between expansion and contraction, between Jupiter and Saturn. So it's like I know I am loved and cared for because I'm loving and taking care of myself, and I know the love is in me, so that I can demonstrate my care for humanity. I was listening to a therapist say the other day, you're losing your humanity to self-care. But I think that's an inversion. I think you can only have enough care to give to another if you are caring for yourself and are cared for. And that's why evil comes from trauma. Because when nobody is cared for and no one is caring, we visit some of the worst things that we've ever done to each other. Foundational priorities here are the main focus. Like sacred choice is intentional care. And this Jupiter with the sun and the moon in Cancer in square to Saturn in Aries in the tropical chart and Neptune, we're learning new limitations to very specific dreams, very specific goals that we have had. Our care for self facilitates the golden rule that these Zionist Christians seem to have forgotten. Self-care is taking care of another. Self-care is treating someone the way you would like to be treated. And having forgotten that puts us into an interesting position. I wrote this to myself, and tell me if it resonates for you. Your refusal to accept things as they are setting a lot of much needed change in motion. Even your most unreal desire is securing a practical purpose. I'm sorry. Even your most unreal desire is serving a practical purpose. Serving and securing. So Jupiter and Saturn again. You are becoming the reason why a set of unsatisfactory circumstances cannot continue. yet you're tired of the tension and you need a holiday from hassle and a chance to remember what it feels like to be gently supported by a kind cosmos. What it feels like to be gently supported by a kind cosmos. Oof. So that's the sun and the moon with Jupiter in Cancer. What it feels like to be gently supported by a kind cosmos. In tension with these Aries limitations and Neptunian specific dreams, right? Our dreams of peace are frustrated by others' facilitation of war. And in this chart, once again, moving forward, we've got this transformative narrative of Mercury opposite to Pluto. And Mercury is in Leo, and it's opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So by Sunday of this week, this transformative narrative, we've got to get to the bottom of what's going on here. We are starting to understand very clearly that the people who are driving us right off the cliff aren't the people that we thought we elected. It's not a siloed world here. It's both and. Politically, both sides are being played against the middle. And in order to function in a time like this, you have to amputate parts of who you are and move away from your authenticity. It's like the creation story from Leslie Mormon Silko, right? You can't present just one side of the thing and think that people are going to be able to use that. It's not going to be foundational. There are ways in which right now we are evolving what it means to care, and that's at every level. Truth is not siloed. It's a both and proposition. There are examples of caring, authentic, loving greatness in the world. You got to dig to look for them. So Shohei Ohtani is both a pitcher and a hitter. He plays for LA. I'm not a big baseball fan, but this guy is exceptional, right? He's neither soft nor unsuccessful, but he does what he does for the love of the game. He respects the competition, but he's involved in what he's doing for the love of what he's doing. When we have people who are traumatized, Netanyahu, George W. Trump, in office, they are not there because they love what they're doing. They are there because they love power and they love control. And that is one sure way to endlessly agonize yourself. It's up to us to take steps, especially like Thursday, going forward this week to, the day after this new moon. Take steps when the sun and the moon are sextiling Mars. And Mercury is sextiling Uranus to clarify this narrative. Get to the bottom of it. Be authentic and don't amputate parts of who you are and call it care. Like you're taking care of your life by not taking care of the love in your life. Choice is sacred. And it's time to make this sacred choice of intentional care for ourselves, our planet, and each other. Enough preaching. I don't know how that's going to play out in your life, but I want to talk one more talking point that I think is very important about this Christian Zionism. The end of the age of Pisces, which is 500 years hence if you understand why it is important to use a lunar sidereal zodiac in combination with a tropical zodiac, because that's how we keep time in our current world. So we don't want to disregard either. Remember, it's not siloed, it's a both and world. 500 years hence, when Pisces becomes Aquarius, because it moves widdershins, right? The cosmos moves widdershins. It's about this fiery conflagration at the end of religion, okay? And religion is ending, so breathe a sigh of relief in that. What we think is political and agnostic these days is not at all. It is very religious. And we have to be the people who demand a separation of church and state. Zionists, whether Christian or Jewish, are actively trying to bring about the coming of a Messiah. That's not up for debate. Look it up yourself. There's a so-called red heifer third prophecy. And that's how much faith they have, by the way. That's how much trauma they actually have, is that they think an animal sacrifice, which you can find easily on messianicbible.com, red heifer, third temple prophecy. You make your own mind up about this. But they think that an animal sacrifice will save them and kill you and all relational people. Because they don't want to be in relationship with anyone but their own group. They want to continue to hold everyone who is not white, male, patriarchal, capitalist in contempt unto death. And if you think what's happening in Gaza isn't a pogrom that is planned for everyone, then we haven't been seeing the signs correctly in AI and the racism that building a new intelligence and language away from people who are not privileged enough, who do not have enough money to participate in, law of attraction, rampant materialism in sciences and institutions. These are all in support of the red heifer third temple prophecy. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's all out there for anyone to see. And it's also in Project 25, and it's the stated project of this new it'll be like Panama through Gaza, right? It will be a new canal where all oil and money will flow. That's what's being built in the name of bringing the Messiah to earth. So, yeah, it's painful, it's dramatic, it's intensely emotional. And it is flying in the face of caring, authentic love. But you are not a country. And you are not trying to build a canal to ship oil and goods to Europe or anywhere else for that matter. You are refusing to accept things as they are. And that is setting a lot of much needed change in motion. Even your most fanciful Neptunian unreal desire is serving a practical purpose. You are becoming the reason why a set of unsatisfactory circumstances cannot continue. You are tired of the tension. You need a holiday from the hassle and a chance to remember what it feels like to be gently supported by a kind cosmos. You are evolving care. The odds have never been greater. But I know you can do it. It's a sacred choice of intention to care, to not lose your humanity, and to understand the fundamental priority of the Golden Rule, to do unto others as you would have done unto you. Now remember, we'll do the reading after the new moon is full, is actually happening. So we let the energy build, and then we go into the breakthrough energy before we do anything with that Mars energy, with that action. Thursday, we're going to be thinking about taking steps. We're going to be doing planning to bring that care more fully into our lives and into the lives of others. But let it marinate right now. Let what is happening for you happen, because you are the vector. You are the transformative narrative here, and you will get to the bottom of it. You will understand what needs to be understood about truth, illumination, and elucidation going forward. And then we'll do the cards. I've got another meditation coming for you. Not a meditation, guided imagery from Your Sixth Sense by Bella Ruth Naparstek. I'm going to put both of these up today, and then tomorrow we'll do the reading. Thank you again for your attention. I know that was a bit of a rant, but since I can't write it, I needed to say it this time. Thank you.